Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now. You know, there's something about watching Carlos Alcaraz play tennis that feels different from anyone else on tour right now. It's not just the athletic impossibilities he pulls off or the way he makes the most ridiculous shots look routine. It's this intangible quality, this sense that he's genuinely enjoying himself out there while simultaneously dismantling his opponents. And after his latest victory over Corentin Moute at this major, a commanding 6-2, 6-4, 6-1 performance that had all the trademark Alcaraz flair we've come to expect, the young Spaniard let us peek behind the curtain of what makes his team tick. Specifically, he opened up about his brother Alvaro's role, and honestly, what he revealed is far more significant than most people realize. The match against Moute was vintage Alcaraz in every sense. The French player, known for his own creative shot-making and unpredictable style, simply couldn't keep pace with the Spanish sensation. There were tweeners, of course, because what's an Alcaraz match without at least one moment that makes you question the laws of physics? The net play was crisp, aggressive, and constantly kept Moute guessing about what was coming next. But beyond the highlight reel moments, what stood out was the composure, the strategic discipline, and the sense that Alcaraz knew exactly what he needed to do and executed it with ruthless efficiency. This wasn't just talent on display. This was a well-oiled machine operating at peak performance. And that's where things get interesting. Because in the post-match press conference, when Alcaraz started talking about his team, he didn't just give the usual generic thanks that athletes often offer. He got specific, particularly when discussing his brother Alvaro. Now, for those who follow tennis closely, you might have caught glimpses of Alvaro in the player box during matches, but his role has largely remained in the shadows compared to the more prominent figures like coach Juan Carlos Ferrero. That's changing now, and Alcaraz made it clear that his brother has become what he called the glue of the team. Think about that phrase for a second. Not an assistant, not a helper, the glue, the thing that holds everything together. What does that actually mean in practical terms? Well, according to Alcaraz, Alvaro has taken on an expanded role that goes far beyond what most people see courtside. He's become the connector between all the different elements of Team Alcaraz, the person who makes sure everyone is on the same page, that communication flows smoothly, and that nothing falls through the cracks. In professional tennis, where a player's team can include coaches, physiotherapists, fitness trainers, nutritionists, agents, and various other specialists, having someone who can coordinate all these moving parts is absolutely crucial. And having that person be family, that adds a layer of trust and understanding that you simply can't replicate with a hired professional. Alvaro's role has apparently evolved organically over time. It started with him just being around, supporting his younger brother the way siblings do. But as Carlos's career trajectory shot upward, from promising junior to Grand Slam champion to world number one, the demands on him and his team multiplied exponentially. Suddenly, there were more people to manage, more schedules to coordinate, more decisions to make, and more pressure on every single choice. Having someone who intimately understands Carlos as a person, not just as a tennis player, became increasingly valuable. Alvaro knows when his brother needs space and when he needs encouragement. He knows the family dynamics, the cultural context, and the personal history that shaped Carlos into who he is today. The timing of this revelation feels particularly significant given where Alcaraz is in his career right now. He's reached another second week at a major, which has become almost routine for him at this point, but the expectations surrounding every tournament he enters have reached astronomical levels. The media scrutiny is intense. The pressure to perform is relentless. The physical demands of modern tennis are brutal. And through all of this, maintaining some sense of normalcy, some connection to who you are outside of tennis, becomes essential for long-term success and mental health. This is where family, and specifically Alvaro, plays such a vital role. There's a reason why so many successful tennis players have family members deeply involved in their teams. The Williams sisters had their father Richard and mother Oracene. Novak Djokovic has worked extensively with family throughout his career. Andy Murray had his mother Judy as an early coach and his brother Jamie as a practice partner and confidant. These familial relationships provide something that professional relationships, no matter how good, often cannot: unconditional support and understanding that exists independent of results. You can have a bad loss, a terrible performance, a frustrating injury setback, and a family member's support doesn't waver because it's not based on your ranking or your recent form. But Alvaro's role, as Alcaraz describes it, seems to go beyond just emotional support. The glue metaphor suggests something more functional, more organizational. He's apparently become the person who handles a lot of the day-to-day logistics that can overwhelm a player if they have to manage it themselves. Things like coordinating practice schedules with different members of the team, making sure equipment is properly maintained and available, handling travel arrangements and accommodations, managing the flow of information between the player and various team members, and serving as a sounding board for decisions both big and small. These tasks might seem mundane, but they're absolutely critical for allowing a player to focus their mental and emotional energy on what actually matters: playing tennis at the highest level. What's fascinating is how this fits into the broader evolution of professional tennis player teams. If you go back a couple of decades, many players operated with very lean teams. Maybe just a coach and a hitting partner, but the modern game has become so demanding, so competitive, and so professionalized that successful players now operate with what are essentially small businesses supporting them. The best players have entire entourages traveling with them to tournaments. They have coaches specialized in different aspects of the game, fitness experts who design periodized training programs, physiotherapists who keep their bodies functioning under extreme stress, nutritionists who optimize their diet for performance and recovery, sports psychologists who help them manage the mental game, and agents who handle their business interests and sponsorship deals. Managing all these people and their various areas of expertise is a job in itself. And if the player has to constantly be the central point of contact for everything, making sure everyone has the information they need and that all the different pieces are working together effectively, that's an enormous drain on their time and energy. Having someone like Alvaro step into that coordinating role frees Carlos up to be a tennis player rather than a project manager. It's similar to how successful businesses have operations managers or chiefs of staff who handle the day-to-day running of things so that the CEO can focus on strategy and vision. The fact that Alcaraz chose to highlight this publicly is also telling. He didn't have to mention Alvaro's expanded role. He could have given a standard answer about his team and moved on. But he specifically wanted to acknowledge his brother's contribution and explain how important it's become. That suggests a level of gratitude and awareness that speaks well of Alcaraz's character. Despite all his success and all the adulation he receives, he recognizes that he doesn't achieve anything alone. He understands that behind every great performance, there's a team of people working to make it possible, and some of those contributions happen far from the spotlight. This dynamic also reflects something broader about Carlos Alcaraz's approach to his career and his life. He's repeatedly emphasized the importance of enjoying the journey, of maintaining perspective, and of staying connected to his roots in Murcia. Having his brother as a central part of his team is a way of keeping that connection alive, even as he travels the world and competes at the highest levels of professional sport. When you're spending most of your year living out of hotels and suitcases, constantly in new cities and different time zones, having family around provides continuity and stability. It's a reminder of who you are and where you came from when everything around you is temporary and transient. The expansion of Alvaro's role also might explain some of what we've seen from Carlos this season. There's been a noticeable consistency to his performances, a sense that he's better able to maintain his level across different tournaments and conditions. Part of that is obviously his own development as a player, his growing experience and maturity, but part of it might also be that the team around him is functioning more smoothly, that the organizational and logistical aspects of his career are being handled more effectively, and that he has more mental space to focus purely on tennis. When you don't have to worry about whether everyone on your team has the information they need or whether conflicting schedules are going to create problems, you can dedicate that mental energy to match preparation and strategy instead. Looking at the match against Moute specifically, you could see the results of this well-functioning team dynamic. Alcaraz came out with a clear game plan and executed it from the first point. He knew Moute would try to disrupt his rhythm with drop shots, slice variations, and unconventional patterns of play. Rather than getting frustrated or drawn into a different type of match, Alcaraz stayed patient, used his superior athleticism to track down everything Moute threw at him, and eventually wore the Frenchman down with consistent aggression and precision. That kind of disciplined performance doesn't happen by accident. It comes from thorough preparation, clear strategic thinking, and the confidence that comes from knowing your team has prepared you properly for every scenario. The tweeners and the spectacular shot-making that fans love, those are the icing on the cake, the moments of individual brilliance that separate good players from great ones. But the foundation underneath those moments is built by the team. The physical conditioning that allows Alcaraz to chase down seemingly impossible balls comes from his fitness trainers. The technical adjustments that make his shots more effective and consistent come from his coaches. The ability to stay mentally fresh and focused throughout a grueling 2-week tournament comes from proper recovery protocols, nutrition, and psychological preparation. And increasingly, as we're learning, the coordination of all these elements comes from his brother Alvaro. There's something beautiful about the idea that at the highest levels of individual sport, success is still fundamentally a team effort. Tennis is unique in that, during the actual competition, players are completely alone out there. They can't call time out to talk to a coach. They can't substitute themselves out when they're struggling. They have to figure it out in real time, by themselves, under immense pressure. But everything that happens before and after those moments of solitary competition is a collaborative effort. The training, the preparation, the recovery, the strategy, the mental fortification, all of it involves other people contributing their expertise and their support. As Alcaraz moves deeper into this tournament, the strength of his team will be tested. The second week of a major is where the real battles happen. The opponents get tougher, the stakes get higher, the physical and mental demands intensify. There's nowhere to hide, no room for error. Every match becomes a test not just of your tennis skills, but of everything else. Your fitness, your mental toughness, your ability to handle pressure, your preparation, your strategic thinking. Having a team that functions like a well-oiled machine, where everyone knows their role and trusts everyone else to do their job, becomes a significant competitive advantage. And perhaps that's the ultimate value of what Alvaro brings as the glue of the team. In moments of stress and pressure, when things get chaotic and difficult, the glue is what prevents everything from falling apart. It's what maintains the structural integrity of the whole operation. It's what allows all the individual pieces to continue working together effectively, even when the external circumstances would normally cause fractures and breakdowns. Team Alcaraz seems to have found that binding element in Alvaro, and the results are evident in Carlos's continued excellence on court. The broader tennis world should probably pay more attention to these behind-the-scenes dynamics. We spend so much time analyzing stroke mechanics, physical conditioning, and mental approaches, but the organizational and interpersonal elements of player teams deserve more consideration. how a team communicates, how they make decisions, how they handle conflicts, how they distribute responsibilities. All of these factors impact a player's performance, even if the connection isn't always obvious. The best teams aren't just collections of talented individuals. They're systems where the whole becomes greater than the sum of the parts, where the interactions between team members create emergent properties that wouldn't exist otherwise. In Alcaraz's case, having Alvaro as the connector, the organizer, the glue, seems to have created exactly this kind of synergistic effect. The team doesn't just have talented coaches and support staff, it has a structure that allows all that talent to be fully utilized, channeled effectively toward the common goal of helping Carlos be the best tennis player he can be. And crucially, it has someone in that coordinating role who Carlos trusts completely, whose loyalty is unquestioned, and who understands him on a level that goes beyond the professional relationship. As this tournament progresses, and as Alcaraz's career continues to evolve, it'll be interesting to see how Alvaro's role might further develop. Will he take on even more responsibilities? Will he become a more visible presence in the public-facing aspects of Team Alcaraz? Or will he continue to operate primarily behind the scenes, doing the essential work that makes everything else possible without seeking the spotlight? Either way, one thing is clear. Carlos Alcaraz understands the value of what his brother brings, and he's not shy about acknowledging it. The victory over Moute was impressive in its own right, another demonstration of Alcaraz's exceptional talent and competitive fire. But the real story that emerged from that match day wasn't just about the tennis itself, it was about the revelation of how success at this level is constructed, maintained, and sustained. It's about the recognition that even the most individually gifted athletes need support systems, and that some of the most crucial roles in those support systems might be the ones we rarely see or think about. Alvaro Alcaraz may not be hitting shots or coaching from the sidelines, but according to his brother, he's become indispensable in his own way, as the glue that holds everything together. And in professional tennis, where the margins between success and failure can be razor thin, having that kind of cohesive, well-functioning team structure might just be the difference between good and great, between talented and championship caliber. So, if you've been following Carlos Alcaraz's journey and wondering what makes him so special, remember, it's not just the jaw-dropping athleticism or the fearless shot-making or even the infectious enthusiasm he brings to the court. It's also the team behind him, working in harmony, with everyone understanding their role and contributing to the collective success. And at the center of that team, holding it all together, is his brother Alvaro, the glue guy, the unsung hero, the essential piece that might not make the highlight reels, but makes all those highlights possible. That's the kind of detail that reveals the true nature of excellence in professional sports, and it's exactly why Carlos Alcaraz seems poised to dominate tennis for years to come. If you found this deep dive into the real dynamics behind Carlos Alcaraz's success interesting, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos where we go beyond the surface level analysis and explore what really makes the top players tick. Let me know in the comments what you think about family members playing key roles in player teams, and whether you think Alvaro's expanded responsibilities will continue to grow as Carlos's career progresses. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.